Hi guys, Warrior here today. Today we'll be discussing the basics of team building for the third time because I'm an idiot and I haven't turned on my mic this entire time. Yay! So hopefully I get this right this time. Uh, Team building is a topic that's been discussed a lot among newer players and is a question that arises a lot on the Discord and on the forum, on the Reddit, on the Facebook page and such. And I just wanted to make a basic, very basic guide on how to build a team to hopefully help newer players out so it's not as daunting and to kind of clarify some things for people. One of the first things I would like to say is there isn't an end all be all team for everything in the game. You can kind of have a general purpose team, I'd say, that can maybe be good for 75% of the content, depending on how much equipment and things you have and their limit break, etc. But depending on the situation and depending on the content you're doing, you're going to be changing your team out a lot. Like you'll be switching it up depending on the event, depending on the story mission you're running, depending on the boss fight you're doing, maybe an attribute advantage or whatever. This will come with experience on when you're changing things, but hopefully I can give you guys a broad perspective on a basic team and how to look at your box to decide on what to put in your team. One of the first things when you're building a team is to first understand the roles of the units and Grand Summoners. There's 4 different roles in Grand Summoners that I would classify. We have the attacker, which is of course your DPS. We have your breakers, which are of course in charge of breaking the boss and getting rid of their break bar so you can do bonus damage. We have your healers, which is in charge of keeping your team alive, providing maybe a couple defense items. And then you have your support, which this role is mostly filled by everything else. You have your buffers, your debuffers, your art batteries, your supporting roles that kind of are just there to help you, And then understanding each of these 4 basic types of units and their roles will help you build your team and help you understand what you need to do depending on the content and depending on what units you have. A common team that you see a lot of beginners running around with, and what I usually recommend, is to bring a breaker, a healer, and 2 DPS. So right now, I have a really basic team that I just pulled up to show for this video, which I keep messing up because I had it set up from the last video. But I have Ragna and Sar as 2 DPS units. I have Rayon as a breaker, and I have Valhalla as a healer. This is super simple and one of the most simple teams that you can get. And at the end of the day, team building in general is pretty simple once you understand and have the knowledge of the game. When you're also filling a role and choosing units to fill a role, you also have to look at their equipment slots, right? And depending on the content you're doing in the game, this could be influenced a lot depending on your choice of unit. So for harder content, you might want to have a Ragna because of his 5-star defense slot. But for easier content or content you're more comfortable with, you might not need the Ragna. You might want to throw in another DPS like Rhodia or something that just has physical damage and doesn't need a defense item. But you might not even need a healer as well. Like you might be able to subsidize your team with, I don't know, a Rhodia's 3-star heal, and let's say Satsuki's 4-star heal, and you might be able to burst down a boss with a defense item or something like that without needing a healer. When starting the game and first having your account and you have a handful of units to pick and choose from, and you're struggling maybe with clearing the story, and let's say you don't have a healer, you could, pick an equipment to help you out, or a unit that has a equipment slot that can help you. There's a couple heroes that have a healed equipment slot that you could run with, but generally speaking, if you don't have a healer, you want to run Phoenix, which I don't have on this account because I always sell them, but it's a 4-star unit that you get a lot. It's very common in the summons, but it's a healer, and a lot of us use them at the start of the game to clear earlier content. But like another example would be if you don't have a breaker, you could subsidize your team. Like for instance, if you don't have a Rayon, you could change it up and put in another DPS. But on that DPS, you could put a break power equip, like the relic from the zombie dragon that increases your break damage by 50% when it's maxed enhanced right here, which just could help uh, boost your unit's break power. And when doing something like that, you kind of want to look at your unit, because on each unit, they have their on their description. They have. We'll just look at Ryuko, for example. You can see how much break damage she does on her skill and on her art. When you're choosing another unit to fill a role, or putting equipment on a unit to help offset not having a unit to fill that role, you kind of also want to look at which unit would it be better for. So Ragna, for instance, has more break power than Ryuko. So you would want to put the axe, let's say, on Ragna to boost his break power, because he has a more base break than another unit. When you're filling roles, it's a little iffy on if you really need certain units for certain things, right? And it just comes with what you have and what you don't have. If you only have X unit and people are telling you you need X unit, just give it a go with X unit, you know? Like, you could clear it depending on like what the equips you have, but a lot of this comes with experience. But at the basic essence, you want to have a healer, you want to have a breaker. Later on, you might want to have an art gen, and then a DPS. This will help support your team. It might not be the fastest clears, but at least you'll be able to survive doing your first solo clears. Now, I hope this helps you guys a little bit, and I know I was talking a lot about equipments there near the end, but this is a super basic guide, and I hope it helps you guys out just a little bit on what you're doing. This will be my first video in a beginner series. I'll be making more videos as the time comes. Then I'll make advanced guides too, to help out with progression and stuff. I just wanted to help and start explaining things better for newer players who are coming into the game for the collab. So I hope this guys helps you out, and I'll